Yes, sir. We are starting the call now, sir.
Can you
Ladies
hear
and
me?
gentlemen. Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can start.
Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2FY21 post-results conference call of Cadila Healthcare Limited. If a participant is connected on the webcast and the audio bridge, you are requested to mute the audio from the webcast to avoid echo or disturbance. To ask a question, participants are requested to click on the link for instructions to dial into the audio call to ask the question. Please note, participants will have to use their handsets to ask the questions and they will not be able to speak through the web. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ganesh Nayak, COO and Executive Director. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our post-results teleconference for the quarter ended September 30th, 2020. We wish you and your family are safe and healthy during these times. For today's call, we have with us Dr. Sharvil Patel, Managing Director, Mr. Nitin Parekh, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Harish Sadana, Chief Strategy Officer, and Mr. Vishal Gaur, Senior Vice President, Corporate Finance. During the quarter, the spread of COVID-19 continued unabated across the globe and in turn continued to impact the economy and businesses across countries. However, we now consider it as the new normal, and by use of technology and newer methods, we continue to endeavor to improve all facets of our business beyond pre-COVID levels. Coming to business, in the India geography, our human health business and consumer wellness business witnessed an improvement in demand vis-a-vis the preceding quarter on the back of the nationwide unlocking strategy adopted by the government. This trend of improvement is likely to further pick up pace in the coming quarters. Our animal health business in India posted strong double-digit growth of 20% on a year-on-year basis during the quarter. Our US formulations business continued normal operations as it was not impacted significantly by the COVID outbreak. Business continued to grow in double digits on a year-on-year basis. During the second quarter of FY21, we posted a consolidated revenue of 38.2 billion rupees, up 13% year-on-year. Consolidated EBITDA grew to 8.63 billion rupees, up 36% on a year-on-year basis. Our EBITDA margins improved significantly during the quarter and went up by 370 basis points to 22.6% from 18.9% registered during Q2 FY20. Consolidated PAT, including exceptional items for the quarter, was 5.62 billion rupees, up 73% on a year-on-year basis and up 24% on a sequential basis. In line with our commitment to deleverage, I am happy to inform you that we have significantly reduced our net debt by 27.1 billion rupees in the first 6 months of FY21, which is a 40% reduction from the March 20 net debt position. Our net debt as on the 30th of September 2020 stood at 40.3 billion rupees against 67.4 billion rupees as on the 31st of March 2020. Our India geography, comprising of human health, consumer wellness, and animal health business, grew by 11% on a year-on-year basis and registered revenues of 15.83 billion rupees during the quarter. The US geography, comprising of generics and specialty portfolio, registered a revenue of 17.09 billion. The generics business grew by 21% on a year-on-year basis and 6% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, driven by volume expansion. Our emerging markets business grew by 8% on a year-on-year basis and posted sales of 2.36 billion rupees. The business grew by 12% in constant currency terms. Now let me take you through the operating highlights for the second quarter of FY21 for each of our business lines. Starting with our human health business in the India geography, the pharmaceutical market in India has moved to positive trajectory, and in line with the market, performance of our business also improved during the quarter on the back of steady improvement in demand amidst various unlocking measures undertaken by the government. Overall, our human health formulations business posted sales of 10.87 billion rupees, up 11% on a year-on-year basis. On the therapy fronts, we gained market share in the gynecology, pain management, anti-infectives, anti-diabetic, and hormones portfolio during Q2 FY21 vis-a-vis the corresponding quarter of the previous financial year. We have maintained our ranking in the key therapies of gynecology, respiratory, pain management, cardiology, and anti-infectives during the quarter. In the current evolution of prevailing challenges, the trend of improvement which we have experienced during the current quarter is likely to further pick up pace in the coming months. As the Indian economy is gradually opening up with necessary safety measures amidst the pandemic, the quarter gone by saw a revival in growth for our consumer wellness business. The business registered a growth of 9.3% in gross sales on a year-on-year basis. During the quarter, we successfully completed equity fundraising of 10 billion rupees through the preferential issue and the QIP route. We extend our sincere gratitude to all the investors for an overwhelming response to the QIP issue of Zydus Wellness, which was oversubscribed 3 times. Proceeds of the issue were used for redemption of non-convertible debentures to leverage the balance sheet. Our animal health business in India saw a significant improvement in the performance during the quarter, as the business posted a sale of 1.6 billion rupees during the quarter, with a growth of 20% on a year-on-year basis. The growth was driven by a good demand and the strong equity that our brands have in the market. This led to a marked improvement in the profitability of the animal health business. On the US formulations front, business continued to remain the largest contributor to the consolidated revenues with a 45% share in total revenues during the quarter. During the quarter, we relaunched doxycycline injections from our injectable manufacturing site of Liva near Baroda after site transfer from Moraiya. This is the second injectable transfer approval from the manufacturing site of Liva. Till date, we have filed 3 site transfer applications for the injectable products from Moraiya to Liva. We also launched 6 new products during the quarter. We received approval for 10 new products, including 2 tentative approvals, and filed 5 additional ANDAs with the US FDA during the quarter. Our cumulative filings include 69 filings for injectable products, including that of our partners, and our cumulative approvals include approvals for 53 injectable products. Our new products approvals during the quarter include receipt of final approval for doxorubicin hydrochloride liposomal injection. This is the first approval for a complex injectable which has been developed in-house. Our API business registered sales of 1.6 billion rupees during the quarter, with a growth of 52% on a year-on-year basis. On the operations and compliance front, we have completed the remediation measures which were required to be taken to address the observations raised by the US FDA in their warning letter issued to Moraiya, and we are reaching out to the US FDA for next steps. Operations at most of our manufacturing facilities attained normalcy during the quarter, and no significant impact of COVID was observed on the functioning of our plants. This concludes the business review. I would now request Dr. Sharif Patel to take you through the progress and initiatives of our innovation program. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you and your family continue to remain safe and healthy during these difficult times. To begin with, let me give you an update on the various projects initiated by us in different areas of drug discovery and innovation targeted towards the COVID-19 virus. As you know, we have already completed phase 1 clinical trials for our COVID vaccine ZyCoV-D. We haven't observed any safety concerns. Cellular and humoral immune response studies are under progress along with the neutralization antibody testing. For phase 2 clinical trials for COVID vaccine, we have already completed enrollment and dosing of all 1,000 subjects. Immunogenicity evaluation is going on at present. From a partnership perspective, we are making conscious efforts to collaborate with various multinational organizations for their COVID-19 vaccine programs to make such vaccines available for India and other emerging markets. We will share more details as and when further development on these fronts happen. We have also initiated development of a recombinant measles vectored construct expressing spike protein of 2019 nCoV, which is a SARS-CoV-2 during the quarter, which is a second vaccine candidate for COVID-19. On the NCE research front, during the quarter, we have initiated a few programs targeted at treatment of COVID-19. Our preclinical development is about to be completed for ZYIL1, a small molecule NCE positioned for management of critically ill COVID-19 patients. A phase 2 clinical trial for desidustat in the management of COVID-19 is ongoing at present in Mexico. Coming to our biologics, recently we have completed a phase 2 clinical trial for a pegylated interferon alpha 2b in moderate COVID-19 patients who will be given either a subcut injection of pegylated interferon alpha 2b at a dose of 1 milligram per kg along with a standard of care in the test arm or a standard of care in the reference arm. Each arm has had enough subjects. In the arm receiving the pegylated interferon alpha 2b, there was a reduction in virus load and also elevation of symptoms faster than the standard of care. The drug is well tolerated without any safety issues. The observation from this study has been recently submitted to the DCGI and further discussions are on. We have also received regulatory permissions in India to conduct phase 2 clinical trial of adalimumab for COVID-19 indication. We have also developed a cocktail of monoclonal antibodies directed against the spike protein of the virus SARS-CoV-2 that causes COVID-19. Both the antibodies are neutralizing in nature and directly inhibit the ineffectivity of the virus by preventing its attachment to the ACE2 receptor expressed on the host cell membrane. We plan to complete animal toxicity studies by February of 2021 and initiate clinical trials immediately thereafter. In addition to the projects mentioned above, we have recently also launched remdesivir injection in India and emerging markets, which is indicated for the treatment of COVID-19. We launched this product at the most economical price, providing greater access to the therapy and making it more affordable for patients. With this, let me give you an account of the progress made thus far on different R&D projects other than those targeted to COVID-19. On the innovation front, on the NCEs, our saroglitazar magnesium successfully completed phase 2 clinical trials for PBC indication in the US. The results of the trial would be presented at the late breaker oral presentation at the American Association for Study of Liver Diseases on 16th of November 2020. We have also initiated phase 2 clinical trial for saroglitazar magnesium for NASH and F2, F3 fibrosis in the US, and after we received the feedback from the US FDA. During the quarter, we submitted the report of 6 months biopsy results in 16 patients to the US FDA. Patient enrollment is ongoing at present in the US for phase 2 clinical trial of saroglitazar magnesium for NAFLD and PCOS indication. We expect the enrollment to be over by Q4 of FY21. In Mexico, an 18-month paired biopsy randomized for NASH indication is complete, and results of the study will be available again in Q4 of FY21. We completed phase 1 clinical trials in Australia for our NCE molecule targeted at the treatment for malaria during the quarter. On the biologics front, patient recruitment has been completed for one of the phase 3 clinical trials of rituximab in India during the quarter. And on the emerging market front, dossiers of adalimumab, bevacizumab, trastuzumab, and pegfilgrastim were filed with the regulatory authorities of different countries of emerging market. On the vaccines front, we completed phase 1 trials for hepatitis E vaccine and have received regulatory permission to conduct preclinical tox studies for one more vaccine during the quarter. On the 505(b)(2) and specialty initiatives, at present 9 products are under different stages of development. During the quarter, we submitted one pre-IND meeting request for one project and a pre-IND meeting request for one more project from our specialty portfolio. We also are planning to file an NDA for one of our products in the pain management area during the current financial year. Thank you everyone, and we can now move forward to the Q&A session. Over to the coordinator.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, participants are requested to click on the link for instructions to dial into the audio call to ask the question. If a participant is connected on the audio and on the webcast, you are requested to mute the audio from the webcast to avoid any echo or disturbance. Please note, participants will have to use their handsets to ask their questions. They will not be able to speak through the web. The first question is from the line of Neha Manpuria from JP Morgan. Please go ahead. Neha Manpuria from JP Morgan, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead with the question.
Oh yes, sorry about that. Thank you so much for taking my questions. My first question is on the India business. We saw very strong recovery both quarter-on-quarter and year-on-year. Could you give us some color on, what drove this improvement year-on-year particularly? Was it driven by, COVID portfolio? Any color here would be appreciated.
So on the India business, we have had, as I said, in the last couple of years, we have had very important launches in the chronic spaces, and we were the first few to launch some of the gliptins and other molecules, and they have done very well. So on the overall, the chronic portfolio has registered a very strong growth. The acute portfolio still remains weak, but it's improving sequentially. And because of that, we have seen better traction in terms of overall India growth. So we have done a little bit better than market during the quarter.
So if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, the market was pretty much flat to slightly positive, versus our growth seems to be 11%, year on year. So is this entirely driven because of the chronic portfolio, or is there contribution from, certain COVID drug launches, COVID-related launches?
The COVID portfolio obviously forms a part of some of the growth, but also the specialty cluster has registered a strong double-digit growth.
Okay, understood. And just, just taking this forward from a point of view of cost, how much normalization in marketing activity have we seen, in the India market, and therefore to what extent is it reflected in our cost base? How should we look at, normalization of marketing activity versus operating costs?
So because the large part of our expenses are related to the working of the sales representatives, so that all has normalized, and we that has come back to normal in terms of overall spends. The marketing activities are still limited because obviously access to doctors is still not fully there. So we are not at completely back in terms of our full marketing activities, but marketing is always done in terms of obviously results that we get. So depending on what we are seeing, we are focusing our activities on certain types of portfolio, which is yielding us results. But I think going forward, if the demand again comes back to a normal level, we would see some increase in marketing activities. But that will be a function of obviously growth. But overall fixed expenses are back to normal largely.
Okay, so only the marketing portion of it will pick up as things normalize.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anita Chettiar from BNK Securities. Please go ahead. Anita Chettiar from BNK Securities. Please unmute the audio from your side and go ahead. Please use your handset to ask the question. Anita Chettiar from BNK Securities. Please unmute the line from your side and go ahead. As there's no response, we take the next question from the line of Pranav from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead. Pranav from Centrum Broking, please use your handset and unmute your handset to ask the question. Pranav from Centrum Broking, we request you to please unmute your handset and go ahead with the question. As there's no response, we take the next question from the line of Praful Vora from Systematic Shares. Please go ahead. Praful Vora from Systematic Shares, please unmute your line from your side. Use your handset to ask the question. Praful Vora from Systematic Shares. Request you to please use your handset to ask the question. As there's no response, we take the next question from the line of Nimish Mehta from Research Delta Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. On the US generic side, can you just let us know what is the outlook on the base business in terms of pricing? And also, if you can let us know, how has Lialda been performing for us now that there is some more competition?
So on the base business continues to do well, and the pricing is stable. So early, and obviously it changes quarter depending on the quarter. So right now everything is in the base business has grown in terms of volume, and we have stability there. Lialda, we are still holding good market shares because of the complexity of the molecule and the sourcing of the material. So we continue to see good traction on it, and with limited supply in the market.
Understood. Finally, if you can let us know, there are two products that we understand where we already have an approval and the products are also settled from a litigation perspective, but we have yet not launched. Those are Silenor brand name and Riataz. So, if you can let us know when is the launch time likely to be, that would be great.
Which two products?
One is Silenor, generic name is doxycycline hydrochloride. And the second one is Riataz. The generic name is atazanavir sulfate.
So unfortunately, I won't be able to give you immediately. But if Vishal, you have with you the details, you can. Otherwise, we can connect back with you on that.
Sure.
Okay, no problem. My question was because we feel that this can be a probable low competition product for you. So, okay, you can tell me, probably offline I'll connect with Vishal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. We request all the participants who've registered to ask their questions to please use their handset to ask their question. Participants are requested to unmute their handsets while asking the question. We take the next question from the line of Damayanti Kerai from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. So my question regarding the debt reduction part. So strong performance in the first half, as you mentioned, 40% reduction from the March 20 level. So I understand the funds which have come from this QIP and preferential shares is one of the major contributor towards this.
Your voice is cracking a lot, so we are not able to understand much. So can you speak a little softly or maybe away from the mic because it's very the voice is breaking.
Hello, is it better now?
A little better.
Hello.
So we will try and answer you. If you can just be a little softer on the voice.
Okay, I'll try. So my question is regarding the debt reduction part. So as you mentioned in your opening remark, 40% reduction from the March level. So what we understand, the proceeds from QIP and preferential share would have played a bigger role, but we have seen around like more than 350 million kind of debt reduction. So at the same time, we have seen significant improvement in the cash and equivalent holdings also. So if you can just elaborate a bit on like what is the fund for this debt reduction, which has happened significantly in last 6 months.
Nitin bhai, our CFO can take it, or if they are not able to, then I'll explain. So we can't hear you, Nitin bhai or Vishal or anybody.
Hello.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Absolutely crackling. We couldn't make.
So the question is related to debt reduction and what has led to beyond the QIP, what is led to the good amount of debt reduction?
₹700 crore plus, as we have shared, about 1,000 crore rupees is contributed by the equity raise in Zydus Wellness. The remaining is all internal accruals. So, as you know, in the 2 quarters we have generated enough cash to repay the debt to the tune of about 1,700 crore rupees.
So I would say also a good working capital management with led to less number of days and better receivables also has also helped. So overall cash management has been very good since last quarter. We've been talking about that we have set up a cash management office, and with better management of that, better realization on products, obviously some lower costs because of COVID, and all of that has led to a much better improvement in terms of our overall cash, which led to a good amount of debt reduction.
'21 and say like what's your annual debt reduction target in general?
So we will continue to look at that actively, and I think we are still seeing some good quarters ahead. So we will continue our endeavor on reduction of debt. Immediately, obviously, we have achieved a significant milestone. More importantly, we will continue to update you as and when we feel is the right time.
Final question from my side. Any response you heard back from FDA for your request of the Maria plant inspection?
No, generally it's we don't get immediate responses, but we know that our responses are under review, and FDA has communicated to us that they are in active review. So that is the only update we have as of now, and we are hopeful that with the exhaustive responses that we have sent, we will move towards resolution of the warning letter.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Congrats on good numbers. So my first question is on the R&D side. So we talked about various R&D initiatives, both from COVID-related vaccines, NC, injectables. So how do we think our R&D spend is going to, be for the H2 as well as next year?
So other than Saroglitazar, we believe that currently we will be around 7 to 8% of revenues in terms of R&D spend, and we should be comfortable with that. There are two large items. One is obviously the Saroglitazar further clinical trials, which will not have a short-term impact in the next 6 months. However, on the vaccines front, there may, once we start the large phase 3, there may be some larger spends, but we still believe that we would be around 8% to into sales for the next 2 quarters.
Okay. And what are the dates in terms of phase 2 and going into phase 3 if all goes well?
So phase 2, we have, as I said, we have finished enrollment for the vaccine. We will have a readout by end of November, and immediately we would apply for a phase 3 permission, and we do plan to start our phase 3 in December, which will and again that whole recruitment will take again another 2 months. So by March, April, we should have phase 3 data also.
Okay, perfect, great. And secondly, on the US side, so last time we had spoken about in licensing of few products. I mean, these would be starting. I mean, these are development, or these are already in development, and we have come in between. And what is the amount spent? If you could talk about that a little bit.
So product-wise, I will not have all the details, but as I said, we have actively a portfolio of 10 to 11 products which are in the in-licensing phase. Some have already been, couple have already been filed, a couple are in the late stages of filing, and obviously some are in the stages of taking batches and putting on stability. So they are in different phases. Some are also just decked for approval and we are in licensing them. So there are all different stages of cycle, and in terms of breakup, I can maybe later on share with you because I don't have the breakup of each and every molecule, but I think they are starting, none of them are at very early stages, barring maybe maybe one. Most of them are in stages of either taking executing batches or filing.
Okay, no, I'm trying to understand, like we already have a very rich pipeline across various dosage forms and segments. So would these be differentiated in some manner which we don't have already, or how should we think about it?
Yes, so they're all different. Some of them is where we may have missed first to file and we've been potentially be able to in-license that F2F. Some are where there is a source issue, so there are very few or unknown source, few sources of multi API, and we have been able to partner on that. And some are to do with complexity in terms of the plant, right? It needs dedicated lines or dedicated facilities, which some of the partners do have. So they are all differentiated, and one or two of them are where we have a gap in portfolio, and we have been able to in-license them.
Okay, and these are multiple parties?
Yeah, there are more than a few parties, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And last one on India side, would there be element of generic also in this 11% growth? I mean, clearly you mentioned chronic is double digit. There is also a COVID-related remdesivir which is held. But would generics, which is about I think 10% of your portfolio, would have helped the growth, or that was also muted?
Generic was more muted, so if we remove generics, the growth would be better.
Oh, lovely. Okay, great. Thanks. I have more questions. I'll join back with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sayan Mukherjee from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, and thanks for taking my question. Sir, can you throw some light on the growth that we have seen in API business and also on the animal health? I mean, the growth has been strong. Just wondering how sustainable you see this number.
Yeah, so on the animal health side, we have very strong brands in the market, and I think very good customer outreach. So that has helped us gain momentum. Also, we believe that with the rural economy reviving faster, we have seen better traction for our businesses related to livestock, and that business has really outperformed because of the good brands that we hold there. And the poultry business is also coming back on track. So actually, we believe this growth momentum will continue because one of the businesses is on track and the other is reviving. So the business growth, we believe, should continue in a fairly good double-digit manner. And it also the favorable product mix has also helped us improve margins. So both aspects have overall helped the business really outperform. On On the API front, we are not a very large player in terms of third-party sales. A large part of it is driven by captive demand. But because of the good portfolio that we hold and good cost positions on multiple products of large volume, we are seeing good traction on the API front, and the API business will continue to actually drive good double-digit growth going forward from the external point of view. Also, it contributes very meaningfully to the internal business. So both ways, it has done very well in terms of being able to produce large quantities. Like one example, also, if you just say it's only for internal consumption, but remdesivir was something that we developed very quickly and we could launch it, and that too at a much better pricing in the market to make it affordable. So credit to the API team that they were able to turn it around faster. And there are multiple other examples which we are seeing both from ANDA point of view or some COVID related portfolio point of view.
Okay. And sir, my next question is, you book an export incentive around 45-50 crores a quarter. What's the outlook there, and what this number would be going forward in your view?
I would ask Vishal or Nitin Bhai to answer that.
So the government has currently discontinued MSME scheme, which would temporarily affect the export benefits.
Excuse me, this is the operator. I'm sorry to interrupt. So you're sounding a little distant and your voice is echoing.
Yeah. So, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So the government has discontinued the MSME scheme, which will impact the export benefits which we get. However, government has already announced a new scheme, the mechanics of which are being worked out by the government in consultation with the industry. Hopefully, early next year, next calendar year, the government will come out with the new scheme. And we believe, so we are yet to see the fine print of that scheme, but we believe this is only a temporary phase, and we should be having, we should not be having any large gaps between the current scheme and the next scheme, or rather the income which we generate from current scheme and the next scheme.
But in Q3, this number would fall significantly, right?
Yes.
For the December.
Yes, because for Q3, government has said exporter will get only 2 crore rupees for the period.
Okay, thank you. I'll join back the queue. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Bakru from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. A great set of numbers. Quickly on remdesivir, Sharvil bhai, any comments on how is the situation currently? Is there still significant gap between the demand and the supply?
So I believe that there is now obviously good amount of suppliers who are available on remdesivir. We are currently still the lowest price product to patients, so we believe we are still seeing very good demand for it, because obviously that becomes the first choice in terms of the product. So we are seeing still good demand, and we haven't really done any large exports. So we believe there is an export market. Some of it also may come up in the future. So we are still building for full capacities and produce as much as we can to sell. And so far we are okay, if I say for the month now and going forward for the next 1 or 2 months. Beyond that, we'll have to wait. But because we are the most affordable brand, we believe we will continue to see good uptake on it.
And when you say export opportunity, how soon can one actually see a possible export opportunity from this product?
So some we'll see starting from October. So yeah, we are already starting to see some, but we are building onto more opportunities there.
Right. And the second question was on the vaccine. I mean, you commented that possibly March phase 3 data will be there. Is there still a possibility of emergency use approval before March based on what phase 2 data comes out, or do you think that approval is sitting likely after March?
It's a tough one to answer. We would be submitting a phase 2 and phase 3 protocol by end of November. And I think I can give you more clarity then, but I think it'll be the regulators' call to take whether they will approve any vaccines for EUA, and if they do, then there would be more than a few vaccines that will get approved, but it's very difficult to say today whether that will happen. So if that happens, then we would be there also in the last quarter, but if not, then it will be April quarter where more vaccines will come up after a full phase 3.
And based on your assessment with the developments that have happened with global trials with AstraZeneca or Pfizer, I mean, would you still say that your DNA platform has, let's say, better relative safety or efficacy? Is there a possible comparison that you can draw at this stage?
So some of the advantages of our vaccine are we don't have any infectious agent as part of the delivery platform technology. So, when we know that all of these vaccines will be more than a single dose, and we don't have any active infectious agents present in our vaccine, which are there in some of the other platforms. So that is one part of the safety. The second is DNA vaccines have a very clear pathway both by the WHO and the US FDA in terms of what needs to be done for the safety and efficacy. So at least it's a known pathway that we all are following. Third is because of it's a highly scalable platform. So that would help us in terms of building for scale and also finding potential third-party manufacturers. And most importantly, because of the technology, it provides us a product that will be stable at 2 to 8 degrees. So in terms of cold chain regulations and shelf life, we would have better. We will be very good at it, and that would be an important thing from the logistics point of view, because both in terms of shelf life as well as cold chain, this is a much more stable platform compared to some of the others. So all of these will add benefit to it, and also because it is scalable, I think something which is important for developing markets is cost, and I think we should be fairly good on cost also in terms of affordability. The other last part is the platform in terms of delivery. Because it is an intradermal application, there should be a much easier administration. The need for a training is far limited because it's not an IM injection intramuscular, but only an intradermal injection. So the whole healthcare professionals or the community which the governments will be using, it will be far more easier to train them or for them to be able to administer these doses.
Right, and this 70% increase in the manufacturing capacity for vaccine, is it fungible across all the platforms, or is it only DNA vaccines?
This is for the DNA, but there are some other vaccines which in the future which are under clinical, which will also potentially come up for use in the similar, similar investment in the similar facility that we are building. But that we can't do 2 vaccines at the same time. So you have to do 1 vaccine at a time. So most of the vaccine facilities are dedicated in nature. So if post-COVID or if the eventuality of that, which we don't see, at least this for the next 3 to 4 years will remain very relevant. But beyond that, we have few other programs where we will be able to use this capital investment.
Thank you. That's all from my end.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir, you are.
Oh, great. Just one question. Taking on the vaccines only, you made a comment that you'll be collaborating with MNCs to make their certain vaccines available in India. So is this, are you talking about manufacturing or largely distributing those vaccines in India?
Manufacturing, and obviously it will be followed by either giving it back to them and also distributing it.
But as you were saying that your current facility is largely dedicated, so that's where my doubt gap was. Because they are not using the DNA platform.
The other vaccines are on different platforms, so they don't compete with this manufacturing facility.
So for that, you will have to put up another manufacturing plant, or how would that go?
We have different platforms of manufacturing which we already have because we do manufacture multiple vaccines. So some of them we have already capabilities to manufacture at small scale and some initial scales, and if any of the vaccines are successful, we can scale those up in those plants. So so that scale up will definitely be necessary in terms of additional some investment, but we can start the process of tech transfer and scaling up the process and going through the clinical phase for approval while we scale it up.
Sure. And just one related question on this. So just to put up the scale-up process, how time-consuming is that process? Is it like a 6-month process or less than 6 months or more than 6 months?
Depending on the platform and technology, it varies between 4 to 6 months.
Sure. And just one another question on remdesivir. After WHO has made comment, has this really impacted the demand of the drug, or is it like the consumption is still increasing very much?
No, today in US FDA has just approved it as the first line treatment now. Instead of a emergency use, they're given a final approval to remdesivir. There currently this is the only line of treatment for moderate to severe patients. So there's no shortage. I mean, there's no drop in demand yet, because this is the only real treatment that is currently working.
Sure. And one more clarity on this. So you mentioned your price is most competitive, but this is largely a hospital product right now, and where patients is largely not choosing this. So are you saying that despite being very low priced, your market share is lower? Because I don't have an idea about how is your market share.
So we probably are selling one of the largest quantities, and patients do make a choice, because when they know a drug is available at a lower price, they do ask for that. So even if hospitals don't carry it, the patients do push the doctors to, because this product is now available easily, they are able to source it from a chemist. So
sure.
It is not that, while it is true that some hospitals still carry higher price products, but the patients are making a choice, because a lot of them are aware of the lower price product, and everybody wants a more affordable, good quality product. So we are seeing that traction also.
Sure, sir. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations for the great set of numbers, sir. My first question is on the US business front. See, let's say in the recent times, what we have seen that Cadila has practically regained the exclusivity in the Lialda, as there is no greater competition visible on that front. So, can you give some sense what inference that, given this background, because simultaneously with the lower competition in the Lialda, there is a indicative price rise scenario also that is visible. So, what inference one should really draw for Asacol HD out of this Lialda background?
Dash, give my phone. I think what one has to understand is all the mesalamine, majority of the mesalamine franchises are very difficult to develop, and that's why there are very few filers. And the second part of it is, even if you have approvals to scale it up and make it at large scales, has been very difficult. And also that has led to, obviously, while there are lots of generic approvals, there is still a fair share of market that we continue to hold. You would have seen that even Innovator has faced challenges in terms of supply to the market. So these are very complex products to continuously manufacture, and we believe we have a very robust process that we have demonstrated over the last few years, which is allowing us to remain as the first choice to all the suppliers, because because of our capability of manufacturing. Also same to do with Asacol, there have been, I believe, perceptibly only one critical filer whom we have heard of, and not many people who have been able to file that product, and it has similar challenges in terms of manufacturing. So I think these are franchises which are very complex and difficult to manufacture and have the release data which is stable all the time, and that is why we believe this is a sticky business for us, and which has been serving us good right now. And hope we will also continue to have at least 3 more mesalamine franchises that we will be some we have filed and some we will launch. So that portfolio is very good for us. We'll have good understanding of the portfolio of this franchise, and we continue to build on that platform.
Sure, sir. So secondly, if I just can I ask about the Tamiflu revenue share? At least what is the annual Tamiflu revenue share for the US business? Because it seems important because given the COVID background, this flu season seems to be a very robust one. As you got a point about the flu vaccine and all that, indicating more than 50% kind of a YY jump. So, can some clarity would be useful there?
So I cannot give you the numbers, but what I can explain to you on that there are two formats: the capsule format and the PFOS, which is the oral suspension. Now, there's enough competition now on the product in the market, and depending on the season, what we can say is we are well prepared for the quantities, because here you have to prepare quantities way in advance, and depending if the season is going to be very severe, or if then we would see good traction on that molecule. But it will be very difficult to say yet. We don't have any indication to say how good the season will be and what would be the competition. But it is highly competitive now as a molecule, and depending on the season, we can give you more light by the next quarter, but nothing that we can tell you now.
But whether it is an integrated product, sir, for us?
Sorry?
Whether it is an integrated product for us?
Yes.
Okay. So, business side. So, if you can just give a split between what is the mass and what is the specialty mix for the quarter or for the half year, because I think the age-old concern of underperform or relatively low growth compared to the industry, that is getting addressed starting this quarter. So, if you can give some clarity on that front, I think that would be helpful.
So again, I think one must understand that for the 6 months MAT or whatever data we look at, we have always been growing better than market. So we have never underperformed versus market. Even if you take September data, also we are still better than the market. Forget internal growth, but also what is reflected in AVAX, which doesn't truly reflect everything. So as I told you, I don't have the breakup now, but the specialty cluster and the chronic portfolio has done far better. So the chronic and subchronic, the acute is the one which is obviously not growing, and it is having challenges, which obviously we understand because of patient footfalls and other things. So once that recovers, we would see some better traction. Overall, I don't have the split, but I believe it is 60-40, but maybe Vishal can provide that to you separately.
Sure. Yeah, it is.
If you can just.
25.
Yes, Vishal. Thanks for that. And if you just allow me, last one question, if I can ask. So, regards the COVID portfolio, sir, generally, I think Cadila is one company who has built the most extensive portfolio targeting COVID. You are even talking about the second vaccine targeting COVID. So I think so the aggression on the COVID portfolio front, it seems that what is the kind of sustainability of this portfolio that you visualize, whether it is remdesivir or whether it is vaccine or the therapeutic medicines that we are currently distributing, marketing. Or whether even the COVID portfolio has started contributing to the growth of the domestic business. So, how should one really see this?
So, I think the way one must look at it is that you have to obviously be in the market and do what the market and drive where the market is driving the growth. So you cannot be complacent to say that we will play in our niche area and not participate in the larger opportunity. And we strongly believe that because of a strong R&D capability and platform that we have, we are able to repurpose or bring new introductions whenever needed, whether it is COVID or whether it is something else. So if I start with the earlier part, when the gliptins, we were one of the first companies to launch the lowest priced gliptin, which was 10 LE gliptin, and we continue to perform extremely well on that. We launched vildagliptin, and amongst the 100+ brands that were launched, we are amongst the top brands in the market in terms of generics. We recently launched an SGLT2, and we were the only company in the market to launch one of the SGLT2s. We launched the first in the world, first in India again, two respiratory products with the glycopyrronium base, and recently we launched the new one again. We are first in India. So it all bodes well in terms of the portfolio we are developing, whether it is for COVID or it is not for COVID. But we have now an R&D engine which is delivering first in India launches. We are tracking well because we are launching them at affordable prices, and overall momentum has helped us in terms of that. So I think over a period of next few years, you will see that the portfolio will have a lot of these kind of new launches, important launches, where we also do well in terms of performance. And our current strong base of products in the women's health space, in some of the other places, are doing well in these COVID times also because of the brand recall and other things. So that is the overall response to it. The only portfolio that requires a lot of effort is the acute portfolio, but the overall market is slow. So we are not a very strong acute player in some of the anti-infectives and others. So that is where we are struggling. But beyond that, the other portfolios are doing much better than they were doing before.
Sure. Again, congratulations to the great set of numbers. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitin Agarwal from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question, sir. On the domestic business, this is the first quarter of double-digit growth after a fairly long period of time. How sustainable do you think this double-digit growth trajectory is going to be for us as you see the market and the landscape right now?
So it's very difficult to forecast the future in terms of the revival, but we believe at least for the next 2 quarters, we are in good place to show good growths on the domestic business. And fundamentally, with some of the new initiatives that we are taking on obviously important launches, some of the brands doing extremely well, and with the whole digital journey that we are taking, which will get launched in December, we believe that we are poised to gain a fair share of the opportunity in terms of presence in the doctor's chamber. So I think we are in place to do well in the portfolio that we have, which we have identified in terms of mandate brands, and next 2 quarters should be good. But I think is to speak more further, we don't know yet how to forecast.
The doxorubicin has been a first complex injectable approval. Now, an injectable, as you mentioned a few times in the past, is a critical component of our growth strategy in the US. How should we look at the whole injectable piece in the US over the next year and a half perspective in terms of the kind of launches and all that can potentially come through on this side?
Yeah, so we're just starting our initial play on the injectable side. I think we need at least 3 years to make 3 to 3.5 years to make a meaningful, sizable business out of it. But all the elements are in place. As I said, we are filing important products. Our facilities are compliant, and we are getting approval from the regulators. We have been able to in-license some complex injectables which were not as part of our portfolio. And all in all, I think from a very small base, this injectables business will become a good sizable business anywhere between $150 to $200 million in the next 3 to 4 years.
And lastly, on the transdermals, what is the visibility of new approvals over the next few quarters?
So transdermals approvals are contingent on our Moraiya warning letter getting resolved, and we believe that once that is there, we should see at least 5 to 6 approvals in the transdermal space, and many of them are still limited competition products, and we see good opportunity if once we are able to resolve our warning letter. We already have the capacities in place. We have we have everything done. We need to obviously resolve our warning letter. Once we see that and see approvals, FY22 we should see good scale up of the transdermals business. But again, in the next 2.5 years, we would see a good scale up on the transdermals business once we have Moraiya resolution.
And your last one on the US business, is there some element of seasonality in our business where in the second half is because of some products where we have a larger seasonality play, bigger, stronger than our H1 typically in the US?
Yes, there is because of the flu season, but it is again very cyclical and it all depends on the season and it depends on the competition and pricing. So very tough to say, but only the seasonal product now in the portfolio is the Oseltamivir, the Tamiflu, which we don't know yet as to what could be that opportunity.
Oh, thank you, and that's enough.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Mehta from Valum Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for a very strong performance. And the question is
Mr. Mehta,
can I request you to speak a little bit away from the mic and a little softer because again the voice is breaking and cracking a lot.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. Is this better now?
Yeah.
Sure. So first question is on NASH. So how do we go about further from here now? And pardon me if you mentioned this in opening comments. So how do we go about for the phase 3 trials for NASH, and in what time frame do these trials would take place?
So
in the US?
There are two indications for saroglitazar. One is the primary biliary cholangitis, which is PBC. Again, it's one of the indications where there are no approved treatments, and the last treatment failed. Last clinical program did fail in the phase 3. So we believe so. We're working on both the programs. On the PBC, as I just stated, we have finished our phase 2. We have seen very good data, and we will be commencing and planning for a phase 3 trial on PBC. It's a shorter trial and with lesser number of subjects, so that potentially hits the market much earlier, maybe in 23-24. On the saroglitazar, we have submitted a phase 2B protocol with the US FDA, and that will be started. If once we get clearance, we'll start that program by end of the year or beginning of January. And that will be, if everything goes well, we are looking at in the calendar year 25 for filing for approval. 24 end or 25.
Okay. So after phase 2, the phase 3 trials would be at least I would say 12 months time frame. For drug like this.
Much more than 12 months. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Understood. Second question is on the vaccine side.
If everything goes well, the PBC indication will be the first indication that we'll get approval for and launch, and the NASH indication will follow post that.
Okay. So any indication on the size of the PBC market? Potential?
So it is a very large market, and no approved products, and it is in a couple. It's I don't have the exact number, but it is above a few $1 billion in terms of overall size of the market.
Understood. And the second question is on the vaccine. So just wanted to understand that once the phase 2 readout comes out, and we see and the readout meets the targeted outcomes, at least after that, the science of the vaccine is established, right? After that, the science of the vaccine, because since this recombinant DNA vaccine, this route is the first. The world is using this route for the first time for building a vaccine. So after phase 2, favorable phase 2 results, I think the science will not be under question. Is that the right way to put it?
So again, a lot of this is for the regulators to take a call on, but we believe the phase 2 will definitely demonstrate clear efficacy outcome if we are able to show that, and that should be sufficient from the efficacy point of view. Again, there are other markers like immunogenicity and safety, which is based on the type of platform and obviously on the type of product. So That is very early, difficult to say, but at least the efficacy and partly the safety would be established.
Sure. And just something, a question related to this. I understand this is a bit earlier to get into, but I mean, the numbers which are being thrown around for the pricing of vaccines, especially for the consumption of Indians, I mean, for the usage of doses in India, I think I mean, it's $2 to $3 per dose, these are far different from what the global players are trying to value their vaccine products at. In any ballpark, I mean, indication of how the pricing would be and what range, and so anything would be very helpful on this front.
So again, it's a little too early. I can tell you a couple of things. One is this, as I said, this platform is very scalable. So because we'll be able to produce in larger quantities, we believe we will be also competitive in terms of bringing the vaccine to the market. Our endeavor always has been in this COVID time or in this pandemic is to make sure that we bring any product at affordable prices. And definitely we have the same intention in mind when it comes to the COVID vaccine.
Understood. That's it from mine. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prakash Agarwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the follow-up. Just wanted to ask on the filing run rate, that seems to be, we've been in the range of 25-30. I understand this is COVID world, but what is the expectation in terms of filing for this year and next year?
So this year we will file more than 30 and next 30 to 35 ANDAs, and in the next year we are targeting around 40 to 45 ANDAs.
Okay, and we are 10 as of first half.
We are... Vishal, can you give that number?
Yes. 10. Yeah, it's 10. Hello?
Yeah, it is 10.
Okay, perfect. So that was the only question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that was the last question in the queue.
Thank you very much, and wish all of you a very happy Diwali and a very prosperous new year, and look forward to interacting with you again in the month of February. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Cadila Healthcare Limited, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect.